guys, it's been a while since I made like a proper sit-down vlog, and the hot topic on YouTube this week is of course the video, and we all know which one's being discussed at this point because every YouTuber, no matter what section of YouTube they be in, seems to have made a video about this, which is really fair because it needs to be talked about more, and that's something that we're always saying. And the topic is, of course, depression. And a few days before all this happened, just like the other week at work, I was, cleaning up, it was slow, and I got to thinking about it, and I've met so many people lately who say things like, oh, I used to have depression, and, to them it's a past tense thing. And there's a part of me that gets really upset when that happens, because it's almost implying that depression is something you get over, and it's not, and we all know that. And I know that these people don't mean it that way, like, not within this context. This is genuinely just good friends of mine who are like, oh, I used to have depression, I'm doing better now. But it's interesting because I never thought of depression as being something you used to have. My family, both sides, has a long and complicated history of mental illness. So to me, it's always just been an accepted fact that I am going to have depression for my whole life. Like, it's never going to truly be something I get over. I'm always going to be dealing with depression to some degree from the time I was young and I first started dealing with it up until, the day I die. It's going to be a part of my life. And that's something I'd always taken as fact, and it wasn't until talking to these friends that I realized that that's not always how it works. Like, you never get used to depression, it never becomes easier or any of that stuff, and I saw a comic about this where the first time you deal with depression, you're like, oh my gosh, what is happening? And then now, depression comes up and just taps you on the shoulder, and you're like, oh yeah, here we go again. And it's just become a part of life, and it's a really unfun one that I don't enjoy, but I'm almost, used to it, and every once in a while it still completely kicks me out of nowhere. And I just kind of curl up in bed, and I'm like, no, not today. But I also know that those periods are gonna pass, because I'm like, yeah, I've been through this before, we've done this a dozen times, it's just a thing that happens every once in a while, and so I'm just like, well, this feels awful. I curl up in bed and feel awful for a while, and then start to feel a little bit better, and then the cycle repeats eventually, because that's how things work. All of that not so fun stuff aside, the other thing that's been on my mind lately is I filmed and conceptualized and implemented this video where I gave myself a week-long challenge of putting myself first and treating myself with the same priority that I gave to season 2 of Stranger Things when it came out. So this was obviously a little while back now, and obviously that footage never made it up. It didn't go super well. I didn't quite learn the balance of things, and I pushed myself way too hard and ended up extremely sick, and I was I missed Halloween kind of sick, so I was really, really bummed, and it was not a fun time. But I like that idea of a weekly challenge, because this week, kind of without realizing it, I did a lot of those scary things, you tell yourself you're gonna do one day, or you put off till another day, or, eventually, and there's always a reason not to do them that day, and there's always a reason to put them off again to another later day. And I did a bunch of those things this week, and it makes every subsequent thing seem less scary. I sent some texts to someone, and it was something I'd been wanting to say for a very long time, so I got to do that. And then a couple days after that, I ended up getting my nipples pierced, and right after that I went on a date. And it's just this idea of what's getting a new piercing compared to sending those texts, and what's going on a date compared to getting a new piercing, and it makes every scary thing seem less scary because the thing before it was also scary. And as well as it gave me that chance to finally do those things I've always been wanting to do, and I really liked that. I think that was a good unintentional challenge for myself. I think this week's unintentional challenge was learning how to draw, because I've never been a super skilled artist, but I bought a new laptop so I could edit videos better, and I got a Wacom, the little tablet, so that I could draw and make my own art for my company, for my business. And so I was saying, you know, I'm trying to learn digital art, but it's a really steep learning curve because I never really learned how to do regular art. And I tend to get really distracted. I have a hard time focusing on one thing for a long time. And that's always been an issue with me. And what ended up happening is I sat down to draw one night, and one of my favorite YouTubers, Deligracy, was streaming on Twitch, so I ended up just watching her Twitch live stream. And before I knew it, I think an hour and a half or something had passed that first night, and I had taken something that was initially a sketch that had popped into my head that day at work, and I had made it into an almost totally complete image. And then the following evening, she streamed again. This was last night now. And I managed to catch the whole thing, so I was able to just sit there for 2.5 hours and draw again. And it gave me something to focus on her stream that I couldn't pause or like rewind or anything, so I had to be paying attention to that. And I can't just pay attention to that, so I was also able to draw. And it's that kind of concept of doing something you don't like with something you like, even though I do enjoy both drawing and watching the stream. It was just, I need two of those things to mix together in order for me to actually do either one of them properly. And I ended up finishing that first drawing, and I finished a second drawing that I was already halfway through before any of the streams. It's just, it feels really nice to have these things drawn out, and now I have ideas for a dozen more things to stream, or a dozen more things to draw, and I've been drawing a lot, and I've started to figure out a little bit how to do digital art and how it works, and I'm really liking it. I will say that much. I'm really, really enjoying it. I find it a lot more forgiving than traditional art, which has kind of always been my problem with traditional art, is just how easy it is to completely mess up. But with digital art, you just erase it, and you've got different layers, so you can, oh my gosh, I'm so in love with digital art so far. And I think that's going to be this week's goal, is to really focus on my art and just getting a hang of that and kind of figuring out how it works and doing a lot of it, because I already have a few more ideas. And they're all Greatest Showman related, of course, because I went to see that movie and I've been listening to the soundtrack nonstop for 5 days now, and that's all I've been listening to pretty much. And I've been really enjoying it. This was kind of just a rambly, like, catch-up video, which is not really what I was intending, but I guess it works. And I guess the point of it being, this is a new year, and I've always hated New Year's resolutions, but we're gonna go with it. It's 2018, I'm like a week late, but you know what, I'm still doing it, and that's what counts. And I can feel it, and everyone else can feel it, and 2018 is going to be the year, and it's gonna be brilliant. So, definitely subscribe to me on YouTube. I want to be setting weekly goals for myself. Maybe not every single week, maybe every once in a while. I don't know. We're going to see what happens. As it currently stands, I'm liking the weekly goals. They give me something that I need to focus on, and then I get a new focus, and I still have the lessons I've learned from the previous week. As well as follow me on Instagram, both my personal Instagram, because I've been doing 3 times a day posts lately, and then of course my business Instagram, where I am posting all of these little sketches and stuff that I'm working on, so you can find them all there. And then just be sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell me what your goals for 2018 are, and share this video with your friends so you can get the conversation going about what their goals are, and everyone can just kind of band together. I really want to turn this vlog into a community of people who are looking to improve their lives, and we can all grow together. So get more people to join the community. We're going to have so much fun. And just subscribe so you can follow the whole journey, because it's going to be a good one. I know this. I know it. It's going to be a great year. Bye guys, I love you.